Blue Origin is launching every month, and I know that at some point this is going to be something very, very normal. SpaceX is flying every 3 days. It's just cargo, it's just testing, not humans, but Blue is doing it every month with humans, and this is going to be the new norm.
Hi, I'm Emma Zareen, your host and a 16-year-old engineering student, policy enthusiast, and hopeful future STEM school survivor. Welcome to She Persists. Before we dive in, I just want to take a second to say how grateful I am for each of you. Every listen and every bit of support genuinely means the world to me. When I started She Persists, it started as a little dream to share real stories of young girls in STEM who are challenging norms, finding their place, and inspiring change. Seeing that idea come to life has been so rewarding, and honestly, it's just the beginning. If you've been enjoying these conversations, I'd love for you to be a part of our community by following this podcast. It's one of the best ways to help us grow, share even more incredible stories, and connect with a wider audience. And I hope the conversation doesn't end here. I hope you carry these stories with you and let them be a constant reminder that your voice truly makes a difference. Today's guest is Amy Medina, an incredible educator, space explorer, and the first Puerto Rican woman astronaut to ever travel to space. She grew up in Puerto Rico, where a love for science turned into a mission to inspire the next generation of explorers. As a teacher at Odyssey Academy, she's led over 60 student space experiments, and some that even made it onto zero-G flights. Her dedication to making STEM feel real and hands-on has inspired so many, and now after her first spaceflight with Blue Origin's NS-32 mission, Amy's showing the world that a teacher's impact can truly reach beyond the stars. So with that, let's get into it. Here's Amy Medina. Miss Amy, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. It is truly such an honor to get to talk to someone as accomplished and as brilliant as yourself. You've had quite the year, lots of awards, recognitions, and a trip to space. So before we start, I just want to say huge congratulations on your first space flight. That's such a huge milestone in your journey. So I just really want to start with the big question. How does it feel to be called an astronaut?
Thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast, and thank you everybody that is joining us in this conversation. It feels amazing. It's a dream that I had back then when I was a kid, and now I am living it, and I am continue living it because it's not just go there and come back. It's the post mission, which is really important part here, how I can share my experience and inspire others, especially the little ones, the kiddos. As a teacher is one of the things that I love the most. I'm still living it and it feels amazing.
That's amazing. That is such a huge title. So you mentioned this is your childhood dream. So I want to rewind a little bit. Take us back to your childhood in Puerto Rico. Were you always interested in pursuing STEM, or did that passion come later? How did you get to where you are today?
When I was a kid, I didn't have all the opportunities that you guys right now have in the classroom with amazing teachers around the nation and around the world. So back then in my days, it was Christy McAuliffe. She was selected to be the first teachers to go to space, and I have a wonderful teachers in Puerto Rico who taught me about science. When Krista was selected, it was like, whoa, I want to be a teacher. And now they are going to send a teacher to space. That means that I can do that too. So it started with her and that opportunity that she was awarded back then. And unfortunately, like we all know, she couldn't complete it. But one of the most amazing things that happened to me was that I could contribute to that dream that she had materialize, realize that. And one of the things that I did, part of the process was complete part of her mission. Back then, Ricky Arnold, Joe Wakawa, they did some STEM on station in part of the year of education on station when the NASA selected 3 astronauts to go to space, Dottie, Ricky, and Arnold. And Ricky especially completed the missions, the lesson plans that she was supposed to do. But there was a part of that mission that they didn't complete. She was supposed to be doing the ultimate field trip. A lot of people, they don't remember that, but she was supposed to do a tour, a guided tour around the shuttle and explain to the kiddos the parts of the shuttle. And okay, here's going to be the commander, he's going to be the, that kind of stuff. When Ricky and Joe and Dottie did the year of education on station, they did the lesson plans, but they didn't perform that part. So one of the things that I asked nicely to the lovely people from Blue Origin was, can you allow me to go and do a tour inside the capsule and have this recorded to complete Krista's ultimate field trip? They say yes. So that part, probably you're going to see it in one of the most amazing things that we are right now doing post mission, which is a teacher documentary. My sponsor, Farmacias Similares, they are from Mexico, which is Similares Pharmacy in English. They are producing a film, a documentary, to gather all my experience pre-flight and of course the day of the flight, and share that with Latin American people in English and in Spanish. And one of those things that we recorded back in Rocket Factory in Seattle was that part of giving the people the tour with actually the guy that was in the picture, that is in the picture. He was my crew member number 7. He was the person who trained me to go to space, and he and I appear on that film, in that part of the film, explaining what is the capsule and what you have, what you can see inside the capsule, what are the letters outside the capsule, and how the capsule is going to be behaving in space. So we can give that as as a tour, and in certain part complete Krista's mission.
That's amazing. That's such a fantastic opportunity. You know, you had that role model and then you got to like live in her shoes and finish her mission. And now
Yeah.
you get to be a role model for so many more people through that. That's fantastic. Congratulations. Tying on to that, when did you first know that you wanted to be an educator?
Since I was little, you can ask my mom. I came back to school from school and I put my dolls over my bed and I get the door of my closet as the whiteboard. And everything that I learned at school, I taught to my dolls during the afternoons. Since I was a kid, I knew that I want to be a teacher. Obviously, when you grow up and you have to do some kind of selections in terms of what you're going to be doing, what you're going to be studying, where you're going to go. Because one thing is that, oh, I want to be an engineer, but that is not feasible for me because I don't have the resources, I don't have the opportunities, or I don't have the campus close to me so I can go and move. So when I was in high school, it was that time that I have to say, okay, I'm going to this college, but I have to be aware of all the things that I have in my family situation. So by that time, I didn't have a car. My mom didn't have a car. We were low income. I came from a humble origins. So it was just my mom, my grandma, and my sister and I. So just 4. I have to select something that I really like, but it was close to home that I can walk to college because I didn't have the opportunity to get a private car or a car just to go, or I have to depend on public transportation. In my area, my community was not the best. So I decided to choose another path that I really like, psychology. I graduated from psychology. But that time I didn't give up. I didn't give up on my I really want to be a teacher. So I started to do what I really want to do. After my master, I started to teach college. Then in college, other opportunities arrived. And I said, okay, this is the time that I really will go when I know I am needed in what I really want to do. I'll go to school. And then I transfer and I move from college and start teaching kids, especially STEM. The rest is over. On-water robotics, a lot of STEM programs for Puerto Rico. And then after Maria, I moved to Florida because that was another hit in my personal life when I lost everything due to the hurricane. Then I had to start from scratch, moving from Puerto Rico to Florida alone and start like a lot of Puerto Ricans trying to go back in. Okay, let's start over. In Florida, the opportunity is presented, and I want to go to space. I know I can have the people that maybe they can help me to go up. Let's move to Houston because if I want to go up, I need to be in the center of everything. And that was here in Houston. So I moved, and it was the best decision of my life because in less than 4 years, I went up.
That's incredible. That's absolutely amazing, and you definitely persisted through so much stuff. You've been to space and you reached your goal, and there's so many more accomplishments that you'll inevitably have in the future too. So that's sounds like quite the journey. The connection to your students seems like really at the heart of your work. And at the school that you're teaching at right now, you've led more than 60 student space experiments. That's absolutely fantastic. Out of all of them, which one kind of sticks with you the most, and what was special about that experiment?
Actually, one of the first experiments that I flew in zero G was something that we designed. We upgraded Krista's chromatography experiment. And back then I told my kids, back then, this is how we the teachers teach you guys how we do the chromatography. But guess what? A lot of years and we have what now? We have technology, we have Arduino, we have coding, we have more resources to get the data that we need in a simple way. So, with my kids, we start to say, okay, how we can do this in a different way. We start to create something in 3D printed and they decide the CAD and I advise them how they can do that. They measure, they create this little box. So my kids started to think on designs, 3D designs, and how we can put this. We can put the Arduino in certain way and the battery to provide power around the 3D printed box. And we can put something to put a pipette inside, then release the water. And on top of the lid, we're going to put a color sensor and we're going to get the data from the color sensor and then an LED. And depending on which color is sensing from the chromatography, from the separation, the LED is going to turn. That's how we did it. So we select purple. So it's easier for us to track in terms of the environment of the airplane inside, and it turns blue. So it senses the separation between red and blue, it senses blue. That way, I was honoring her. I was teaching my kiddos about her, and I was inspiring them through something that she did before. One of the things that I always talk to the teachers when I have the opportunity to talk to them is that we need to keep going and have present our predecessor while we carry on what they want to do. We're carrying with us their legacy because Krista is not the only one. We have Ricky Arnold that he's already retired. We have Dottie, she already retired. And we still have Joe. And Joe is one of the biggest examples that I have, not only because he is a Puerto Rican like me, but he also is a Hispanic like me. And it is the Hispanic teacher in space and the first one occupying the ship of astronaut position. I mean, that is amazing. I can imagine what that represents for our profession, how up we can go if we continue dreaming, if we persist on what we want to do, and if we continue this this path of inspire others through what we are doing. And he was one of the figures very, very, very strong in my life. He is my role model. He is my mentor too, my neighbor too. But if we have these kind of examples for the kids, imagine what we can do.
It's like a cycle almost. You're inspiring new students with previous legacies and teaching them so many
Yeah,
things, and
was Chris the first, and then after her, it was like 20 years until Joe, Ricky, and Dottie were selected. And then after them, 20 years after their selection, it was me.
yeah, just imagine, like, these students continue to inspire others, and it's just years and years and years of knowledge and technology that's still being, like, innovating, and just so many things that are gonna be changing in the future, but I feel like it's really important to not lose touch with, who came before you and who really got space exploration to where it is today and made all these new discoveries, so That's really amazing that you get to be such a big part of teaching all these new students and the next generation so much about space and space travel and experimentation. And that's just really inspiring. So, what was it actually like to take these student driven projects into a zero G environment? What was kind of surprising to you, or how did this kind of go?
Well, it's different because every flight is different. I have been doing these, I have 3 campaigns in zero G. So that experiment with the chromatography was my first flight. It was an exploration flight. And that flight, I did over 40 experiments on that zero G flight because it was, I mean, I was wired up. I was the zero genie king of my students. So I have sensors around my body here, and the finger. I mean, I was wired up completely. And they retrieve a lot of data, and they perform the experiments after all the data that I collected during that flight. We tested other stuff. We tested 3D printed materials. We tested rubber. I mean, a lot of stuff that some of these things you cannot lose perspective that you are testing something in zero G that, yes, could be used in space, but can also help people here on Earth.
Yeah,
I have seeds with different techniques that they propose to see if that germinate faster. That could help a lot of people, especially in areas that is difficult to harvest. And those are results that can be translated to what is happening here on Earth. And I think that that connection is very important for the people to understand. Things that the cell phones we tested the first cell phones and all that kind of stuff was tested first in zero gravity, in
really.
microgravity in the station.
Oh wow.
And there are a lot of stuff that we have in our daily lives. They have been tested first in microgravity. And people, they
Wow.
don't know that.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
didn't get
so
that.
it's such an amazing, I mean, the ISS is such an amazing environment, and not all the people can go there. And these parabolic flights and these suborbital flights, they provide that opportunity for us to get space closer to our students and closer to the people. So my second flight, it was a little bit bumpy. I remember we were very close to Hurricane Milton in terms of
Oh wow.
this the you know we have that phenomenon here. We fly in the other part, but yet you have you're always gonna have some kind of winds. And it was a bumpy, very bumpy flight. But I 3D printed in that flight, and it
Wow.
was an experiment that was developed for by third graders. And
Really?
having
Oh my
kiddos
gosh.
so little on Earth designing what you are going to be designing on the zero G flight and then compare what happened, that's amazing.
That's that's
Because since they are so little, you are inspiring and opening the minds.
yeah.
And they can see themselves, oh, I can do this. Well, I can do the other stuff too. If
Yeah.
I can 3D print something, I can 3D print a part for the rocket because that is one of the things that is coming up. I mean, Blue Origin, they are 3D printing a lot of materials in the warehouse in Florida, and they are part of the rockets that are there 3D printed with all the stuff that they have there. I mean, and it is amazing that they can see that and do that connection and visualize themselves in a future STEM career. So, and this third one, it was amazing because it was very special. It was like a training flight for my body and what I was supposed to do that I did in the suborbital flight. It was 2 weeks before my suborbital flight. And it was special because I did it with a bunch of teachers, including Melissa Poor,
Yeah.
very good friend. It was amazing to see how many teachers are getting out of their comfort zone and getting into this research area and inspiring their kids and continuing this path that other people like Ricky, like Joe, like Dodie, like Krista started. And it was a very emotional flight for me because I knew that I was close. Nobody knew. They knew that I'm gonna fly, but they didn't expect it to hear that it was in It's such a close time. I didn't reveal that I was flying on May 31st. So it was a big shock for them knowing and realizing, oh, she's going to fly in 2 weeks when Blue announced it. So it was a very good flight. I have a terrible migraine. I tested a lot of stuff, but I also practiced the movement that I was doing in conducting the first part of the research that I did inside the New Shepherd. So I was recovering data from my heart rate, and we are doing a paper related to the heart rate variability in parabolics and suborbital flights, and then compare the data. So my sponsor, which is one of the partners that I have in this research, they conducted and they took my measures 3 days before the parabolic flight, the day of the parabolic flight, the date of the parabolic flight. I flew with one of the heart rate monitors programmed by my students using a CubeSat.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And then after the flight, they took also my measures for 2 or 3 consecutive days. And then when the time comes to do the suborbital flight, we did the same. And now we have the data, and we are in this process of comparing the data and working on the paper to share that results, because that is something that it can help people to prepare for future space flights. We we're having a very good time right now. Blue Origin is launching every month, and I know that at some point this is going to be something very, very normal. SpaceX is flying every 3 days. It's just cargo, it's just testing, not humans, but Blue is doing it every month with humans. And this is going to be the new norm.
Yeah.
So we need to prepare the people that is going to be going up with, okay, how I can control these. If I have the peaks too high, what are the techniques that I can do to be, a little bit more relaxed under the emotion of going to space, or what else I can do, and all the kind of the data that you need to prepare better the humans to go to space. Because at some point, it's not only go and fly for 10 minutes and come back. At some point, we are going to stay there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of new ideas for space stations. One of them, Blue Origin. The other is another private company. You have China with their own station, and at some point, it's going to be even a hotel in space. And you need to be prepared to send the people there, but you need that data.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why it is important for us that when we go up, at least in my case, okay, I'm going up with a purpose. I'm not going for the ride. And you have a lot of people that they go for the ride, and I respect that, because it's a child dream, because it's something that they want to do, and that's amazing. But for someone like me, that I am a teacher at the core, I need to be with a purpose. So when I flew, okay, what's my mission? What's the purpose of my mission? It's gonna be educational. I'm gonna have experiments from my students there. I'm gonna do one experiment, an actual experiment in space, and then what I'm gonna do after the mission, and how I'm gonna share this with the other teachers so they can inspire the students in their classroom. And that is exactly what we're doing right now, thanks to my sponsor, Pharmacia Similares, and Good for the Future in Blue Origin. We're gonna have the opportunity to train teachers, and also to have space days in different schools, so they can talk to me, and we can have activities for the students, and they can get, motivated and encouraged to visualize themselves in a future STEM career.
Yeah, I think something that you mentioned earlier about how a lot of the experiments that are happening in zero G really do have implications on Earth. And I think a lot of the times we think about the mission, but we don't really reflect so much on the post mission, like you were
Mhm.
mentioning. And I think that really is so important because, like you said, that's what's going to help us get to the next steps of space exploration. And that's what's going to help us get to long term space exploration and all those things too. And you mentioned earlier how those experiments in zero G reflect back on Earth and the cell phone, for example. So I think a lot of the times we think of Earth and space so differently and we think of them like as two very isolated things. But I really like how you mentioned that. I think it's also important to keep in mind how connected they really are. A lot of the things that we're testing in zero G and that are going to have future implications in space are already having implications on Earth and vice versa as well. I think that's a really good point that you made.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a connection that people needs to get more often, because when you are up there, that gravity, which is a strong variable, you remove that, and then things are different. An example that is very tangible for people to know, the fire. If you turn on a candle here on Earth,
Your heat
the
will
flame
rise.
is totally different that if you turn on that candle on space in the station. I can guarantee you're going to be seeing something very different. And that kind of stuff open the minds of the little ones to see what if, and that is exactly what we need.
Yeah, like the fire example you gave, I remembered that at the SEAS program, the NASA SEAS program that I was at this past summer, we did a simulation of zero G and we actually did test a flame. And I don't think that's something I've thought about before about how flames are affected. There's like these such simple things that we don't even think about that are these everyday things that have such different implications in space and these different effects. It's just really cool to see how something as simple as a flame that just seems like such a normal thing to us is
Even the
so
water
different.
surface.
Yeah, like everything is just different in space and you guys as astronauts are really working towards getting us closer to being able to have all these things in space and understand how they work. So that's really inspiring. And what really shocked me was when you said your 3D printing experiment in zero G was from third graders. I mean, that's amazing.
Yes.
I feel like especially space and aerospace can sometimes be very out of reach for younger students because sometimes as a younger student, you might know that you're interested in engineering, you love to build, but you don't really find that niche passion for aerospace until you're older, you have those other experiences. So I think that's just amazing that you're helping instill this passion at such a young age and really showing them what's
And
out
that
there.
is one of the perks of being a teacher is that you see that excitement growing
Yeah.
every year. I did that when they were third graders. And they sent their own cube to space with seeds,
That's
and
amazing.
they came back to the classroom and they planted the seeds and tracked the seeds, and it
Oh my
was amazing.
gosh.
And then they did the 3D printer, and it was amazing to see when my sponsor went to school to do some recording for the teacher documentary, they had the opportunity to interview all of them.
Wow.
And now they are fifth graders.
Oh,
And the only thing that I have when I saw them in the hallway is, Miss Medina, when we are gonna come back to your classroom? We just stop in the hallway and they are asking desperately, when are I going back? That is the indicator that you did your work.
that is an experience that will most definitely stick with them for their entire life. That's not something you're
Yes.
gonna forget, so that's amazing. And as your passion has grown for aerospace and teaching students and really instilling this passion in them, you've eventually found your way into even bigger communities of space educators. So one of those was the Space Center Houston's SEEK program. Can you tell us a little bit more about the program and how you first got connected with that group?
Well, one of the things that I have is this big community. We have a very huge group of Hispanic educators inside Space Center Houston. We are two groups actually working very hard with the Latin American community, basically in Colombia and in Mexico. And then we start talking about, hey, Amy, you need to be a sick crew. And I was like, okay. So I applied for being a sick crew, and I encourage every teacher that is listening to this podcast to go and apply for being a sick crew. When you are a sick crew member, you have other opportunities that are not the usual. Sometimes you go to a professional development and you get your professional development, you listen to the people, you listen to other teachers, you see what other teachers are doing in their classrooms that could be useful for yours. But when you are a sick crew, you have other opportunities. And one of the amazing things that happen being sick crew is that, yes, you are going to help other teachers to develop skills that they need and do the networking and put resources in their classroom. But you also have contact with other subject matter experts that are going to be helping you to develop other skills and to think outside the box so you can transfer that to your students and to other teachers. So this past July, I was part of this sick crew experiences. We were developing some activities for the teachers for this upcoming SIC 2026. But we also have the opportunity, in my case, to share my experience with them. But we also have the opportunity to talk to Megan MacArthur, astronaut Megan MacArthur. We heard it from firsthand what all the things that Space Center Houston are preparing for teachers so we can get more resources and more opportunities for our students and for our classrooms. So this group is working to help other teachers to be successful, to put resources in their classroom. And I think that we are in that part of our careers as teacher that we need to get in contact with each other and establish this networking, not only to support us in terms of how we are doing in the classroom, but also support us as human beings, as how I can help you to grow up in terms of your teaching style or can I amplify what you are doing in your classroom? Because sometimes you have teachers that are doing amazing jobs, but nobody knows.
That's amazing that you guys have that community and that all these huge steps are being taken to really form like the space for teachers community and space educators. And that's just really nice to see that all these teachers with such similar passions are really coming together to form this great community that can eventually help inspire even more students and keep forming this community and keep growing and just making space really accessible for a lot more people. So now switching gears a little bit, of course, your students' projects on Zero G, they led you to your own huge adventure of spaceflight. So, how did this opportunity to be an astronaut on Blue Origin's NS-32 come about?
Actually, you never know who you are going to know at SEEK. That is a phrase that we have at SEEK because SEEK is that community and that event that allow you to do networking and connect with a lot of people. For those who don't know that part of me, I am also part of an amazing project. Is the ISS Mimic team. It's a group of spaceflight engineers from Boeing that they design a replica of the International Space Station. They move they move the solar panels with the telemetry directly from space. So you have this wonderful project, but they want to put it in schools and they didn't have a teacher. So they contacted me and allowed me to develop the curriculum for that project. And I am running that project for schools right now. Thanks to an ISS National Lab grant, we can put a replica of the station in different classrooms.
Wow.
So we have the curriculum, all is there, English and Spanish. In SIC 20, during SIC 2024, my sponsor was taking my session from the ISS Mimic. And they were exiting, leaving my session, and I was just walking to get inside the Space Center Houston because it was in another classroom. And I saw them with Dr. Simi. And Dr. Simi is an icon from Mexico. And this Dr. Simi is the person, is like a mascot, but human sized. The Astros mascot, it receives you and it dances in front of you and in front of the pharmacy for you. And the thinking behind it is make you smile. So when you are sick and you go to the pharmacy and you see Dr. Simi dancing for you, it's gonna make you smile. And like Patch Adams, the philosophy and the thinking is when you start smiling, you start healing.
Wow.
Not even with taking a medication, you start healing. So they have this Dr. Simi that it is an icon that is also projects the values of the pharmacy like kindness, compassion, give you a hand and all that stuff. And I ask, what do you want to do with that tool? Because they have it in a tool. And I can show you in a minute because I have it there. What do you want to do with that, Simi? It worked for us. We would love to put it in space. And I was like, guess what? I can do that for you because I have the right people and I know how to get Dr. Simi to space through Blue Origin. So at that time, they were like, really? Yeah. By that time, I have the right people in the booth of Blue Origin because 2 years ago, I won the AIAA Trailblazing Educator Award. And I knew a bunch of people from Blue Challenger Center, AIAA. I went to the Rocket Park in Florida. So I knew these people. And she said, Amy, it's for you. We know your career. We know who you are. Of course, we're going to support you. And they opened the collaboration between this Mexican company with this American company that is Blue. We start negotiations. We start all the paperwork. And boom. Now, for May 1st, 2025, we put the first female Hispanic teacher, first female Puerto Rican, and the first teacher flying in a commercial vehicle because Krista was supposed to fly in, and she flew in a shuttle. Barbara Morgan, who was her backup, Ricky, Dottie, and Joe, they all flew in shuttles. But you have now a teacher that is flying in a commercial vehicle. And that part is important because we as teachers, we are teaching our kids with these superstars, but these superstars belong to one era that is no more, which is the shuttle. You didn't have a teacher flying in a commercial vehicle. Now you're that gap, you are closing that gap because now they can visualize a teacher flying in a commercial vehicle. If she can do it in a commercial vehicle, I can do it too. And you have this transition from the superstars to this teacher that is someone like the teacher that they have in their classroom, someone simple, someone ordinary that can do these amazing things too. For us, the teacher, many people they don't realize that we are living a space revolution in the same way that the Industrial Revolution happened a long time ago. We are having our space revolution right now. So, for those who are not familiar, what is happening right now is that all the technologies that NASA as a government created a long time ago, these companies, this private sector, this other sector is innovating over those technologies and they are leading the way of how the aerospace industry is moving. And it was the same with the Industrial Revolution. It was the private sector. So
Yeah.
we are leading that now, but you don't have a teacher there yet. Tell me.
Congratulations. I love that comparison that you just made with the Industrial Revolution. I think that's actually a really great way to think about it. I think a lot of us don't realize how much movement we're making in this direction of aerospace. I think it's really cool to just step back and look at all the progress that's been made and all these historical moments like the one you just created, how these are being formed slowly and how they're continuing to be formed. That's absolutely amazing. Another question about your training for space. Training for something like this must have been surreal. And I know you've done a few zero G flights prior to this. So you've already had a little bit of experience with the zero gravity. Did you guys train with G-force machines, or was it your mindset, emotional training? What did your training look like for your flight?
Well, one of the things and one of the perks of being a teacher is that you teach your kiddos how the astronauts train. So, yes, I have the zero G flights, but I also experienced something amazing that we, the teachers, loved a lot. And that is space camp. In space camp, you have a lot of opportunities to simulate missions like you were on space or in the station. Yes,
Wow.
you have this you have this machine that you walk like you were in the moon. You have this spinning thing. You have this zip line because you have to train for survival. of nominal situations that we call in the industry. Space can also help me train you tell your kids how the astronauts train, but you also tell the kids, okay, how you need to prepare your body. And then you do the cross curriculum because now you bring how PE is so important as a class for you to be ready for space because you need to do exercise. Because what happened when you are long time in space? Not in my case because I have 10 minutes only, but the astronauts who are more than 6 months, bones start
Oh,
suffering
yeah.
and you have that. Okay, how you prevent that? Oh, you do exercise. And then you bring a PE here so they can see that connection with other classes.
Yeah.
Um, so how you're gonna eat, you have to eat healthy and you have to be careful with what you eat. If you know that you're going to space, you are preparing too.
Yeah.
So I took my supplements, I did my exercise, I was prepared for that. They prepare you. That guy in the picture, that is Jake. He was crew member number 7. We are 6 crew members inside the capsule, but we have 2 more people that are all the time with us. One of them is crew member number 7, the one who trains you, and the other is Capcom, which is the person who is communicating with you, mission control when you are inside the capsule, but is also the one who visits you every single day from training to bring the news and bring the news from mission control, from the rocket team, or the recovery team, from the meteorologist, and say, okay, your rocket is in good health, your rocket passed the inspection of these, your rocket have the engine ready to go. The meteorologist says that we're gonna have a very good flight. It's constantly communicating with you. So it's a very good experience to have 2 people that who are all the time with you there. So this guy was in charge with another one to prepare you to go off. We practice everything. We train everything. How we're going to be sitting in the vehicles when we are on our way, because depending on where you're sitting, your family is going to be located to say goodbye and good luck to you. How you're going to be walking for the traditional picture in front of the rocket before you fly, how you're going to be ringing the bell, how you're going to walk all the way down, how you're going to be ingressing the capsule, how you're going to be sitting with your seatbelt, how you're going to unbuckle so you can experience zero G, what you have to track so you can track all the time, how you're going to be established communication with mission control through Capcom, how you're going to have to talk and move your head to talk to the speaker and to the microphone, all this stuff, how you're going to be doing the position for taking off and landing, and how you're going to be egressing the capsule. Every single time you practice and you practice and you practice. And it was a whole day just for nominal situation. You have to take a test. Your crew member number 7 needs to approve your zero G plans. You have to write your C2G plans. It's not like I'm going for the ride. No, you have to train and you have to pass some tests. Your C2G plans needs to be approved by crew member number 7. Otherwise, you cannot unbuckle. They train you for the off nominal situation. And what happened if? What happened if when we landed, we do not have the stairs and we have to get outside of the capsule without the stairs? How you're going to do it? What happened if you need to use a mask? What happened if there is a change in pressure? When something happens, you are going to be prepared. So it's a simple exercise that you also can do with your kiddos in the classroom, how you are training for a suborbital flight. And that's amazing.
That
It
is
is amazing
amazing.
when you can share this with the teachers and with the students in the classroom.
Yeah, that is such a unique and surreal experience you had training to be an astronaut. And the fact that you get to share that with students is amazing. It's not something a lot of people get to experience. A lot of the times when we hear about space travel, we get to hear about it from astronauts who are going to the shuttle or in the ISS and just get to kind of hear it through videos and other ways of hearing it. But your students really get to hear it firsthand from you, your experience, what it was like to be in space, everything that you don't get to hear because they're really connected to you personally as well. Looking back on the whole experience, what's something that you took away from space travel that you hadn't necessarily expected?
Oh, the view. Have been experienced flotation, zero gravity in the parabolics flight. I would say is different. With a suborbital flight, it's different. When you are doing a parabolic flight, you are laying down on the plane and your body is gradually going up. But in this flight, it was instantaneously. It was automatically. And you were bucket up. And as soon as they say Miko, and you feel, because I felt it, how your back is separating from the seat.
Oh
And
my
it was like,
gosh.
whoa, this is not a synergy flight.
And for 0G, your parabolas are 15 to 20 seconds, right? If I'm not mistaken.
The parabola, each
Yeah.
parabola is between 15 and 17 seconds.
17 seconds. Now, transferring that into a suborbital flight, and it's like 10 minutes of just 0G, basically.
Well, actually, it's 3 to 4 minutes of zero G.
Good.
Because remember that you lift off and you lift up, but you are going up, and you experience Mach 3, which is
Mhm.
3 times the speed of sound. Then you experience the separation, but you cannot unbuckle during the MECO phase. You need
Yeah.
to be hearing that mission control, in this case, blue control, is telling you stay separation complete. You can now perform your COD flights. That's your cue to unbuckle. You cannot do it before because it's safety. Then you do your stuff, but then they have this 1 minute warning and you have to come back because you got to land.
Yeah.
So when you see the 10 minutes fly, you have 3 minutes to go up, approximately 3 to 4 minutes of zero gravity, and then 3 minutes to come back to Earth. So it's very quick.
Mm.
That's why you have to be approved with your zero G plan by this guy behind me. They are the experts. They know of all the things that you want to do if you can do it in that amount of time. In my case, I have to do a lot of stuff. I would say remain seated so you can get the data that you need for that part of the flight that you are laying down in the parabolic flight so you can get it while you're seated. And then after you get done all the stuff that is going to be released, so you can have more control of the releasing stuff and not convert it into a debris that could be a safety issue for another crew member. When you release everything, then you'll buckle. I didn't have any problems, thanks God, or nobody. You don't get dizzy. You don't get, it's not like the parabolic flight. Parabolic flight, believe me, a lot of people vomit, me
Yeah.
included in the second flight and in the third one. And it is hard. Parabolic flight are hard, but this one is just marvelous.
I've heard a lot about 0G flights where you have to really practice the experiment several times because you don't have that much time to perform it. I can imagine it would be rather similar on the actual space flight. That's amazing though that you guys are completing real experiments in space and bringing this information back down to Earth so that we can learn more about how these things are affecting humans in space eventually.
Yeah.
I also want to ask about your mission patch. What's the story behind the design?
Well, if you go to Blue Origin, you're going to have all the details. But if you can see our mission patch, the bird is from Mark. Mark is from Australia. That's the national bird in Australia. The
Okay.
mountains are from Jesse. Jesse is a data guy. He has his company, but his hobby is go and do the hiking. So he have been hiking all the major peaks around the world, including the Himalaya and the
Wow.
Everest. He just need one more to complete the top
Wow.
seven. So the mountains are from him. The radiologist thing is for Gretchen. She's a radiologist, so that's for her. And then the other stuff is for Jaime is the former Panamanian ambassador, and his passion is travel. He visited all the countries around the world, including Antarctica. The only thing that he was missing is flying to space, and he did it during my mission. The symbols that represent me between our names, you cannot see it, but if you go to Blue Origin, the pi symbol, the circuit symbol, and the gear symbols, those are my stuff from STEM teacher as a
Oh,
STEM teacher. Oh,
wow, that's
those
amazing.
those are the symbols for the STEM teacher for the educational part. So very happy that they are there present because I think that combines what we are trying to do with all the STEM vision that we as teacher wants for our students.
I love the idea of a mission patch just because it represents everyone on your team, and
Mhm.
that's such a nice little memory to have. So, you've already accomplished so much in your career. What's your next big goal or something that you're looking forward to exploring?
Well, I told my people from Blue Origin, if you put me the rocket tomorrow, I will fly tomorrow again. So I'm looking forward for a second flight, but this time I really want to do another type of science, more handling experiment, big one that people can see what I am doing the experiment inside the capsule. That's very complicated because Blue is very careful with that capsule because it's safety. It has to be certain steps before you get approved to maneuver an experiment inside the capsule. And as an ISS mimic team, I would love to go to the ISS, and that is one of the things that I would love to do before they decommission it in the 2030. And if not, I will be happy to be one of the first teachers to visit in the new space station. Those are my plans. Let's see if the big boss allow me to go to space again.
So do you hope to do long-term human space travel in the ISS, or do you still want to do like a shorter mission?
I'll go with the flow and with the mission that the big boss has for me.
That's
So
amazing. Very
it
exciting.
is a short one with Shepard. Again, I'll go with that. If there is an axiom for a couple of days, I'll go with that. And if that opens another door for me to be a long-term duration mission inside the ISS or the new station, here we go. I'm just so ready.
I love that. So after going to space, has your perspective on Earth or even your approach as a teacher, has that changed at all?
Oh yes. Oh yes. I mean, I tell to a lot of people, and we agree that every time I am sharing what I am sharing, and I am feeling it right now.
Yeah, that's
Every
amazing.
time that I have that moment that I revisit the view of the earth, I have goosebumps. So I told to the people, I'm gonna do a sensor and wire it up so I can record what's happening in my body every time I talk about that because it's so amazing. I mean, one of the things that I negotiate was that okay, I'm gonna do my part with my sponsor and fulfill my duty. I'm gonna fulfill my duty with the research and my duty with my country because I released the Puerto Rican flag in space. That was important for me and for
Wow.
my people. And after that, I'm gonna sit down and I am going to enjoy the view
Yeah.
because I can float in a city flight and I flew before. But the view is something that
I
you
can
are
just
not gonna have.
imagine.
And that round shapes with these colors and that blue, intense blue, light blue, in contrast with the infinite black. That is something that I will never forget. And I have goosebumps right now. It's just like that. It's just appearing and I can't control it. But it's so beautiful. And then you realize three things. Number one, how amazing is God's creation.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Number two, it is so beautiful. But Houston, we have a problem if we don't take care of that planet that we call home. Because believe it, there is nothing there. You don't see the stars. You don't see the sun. You don't see even the space trash or the satellites. It's an infinite black and there's nothing else. And you realize that we are alone and there is nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So we need to take care of our planet. And number three, we are like this in space exploration. We are just starting
Yeah.
and we have a long way to go.
Very long way.
It's 2025 and we couldn't go back to the moon as we planned back in 2016, 18 when they start to talk about Artemis. And I don't see that happening until 2027, to be honest. We need to work on that.
Yeah.
You have a big responsibility because as teachers, we have Artemis generation in our high schoolers. They are the Artemis generation. But we also have the Mars generation in our little ones. Our middle and elementary schoolers, those are Mars generation. It is
Just
on us.
I think it's just so amazing to think about how vast the universe is. Like we don't think about it often, but Earth is really just such a small part of everything in space. There's just so much that we don't know and so much to learn and so many steps being taken to get us to a point where we can understand more about what's going on around us. But that's honestly just such an intense thought to think about everything that's happening that we don't even know about. I
Mm,
think that's what's so beautiful about space exploration is that it is so unknown, but it's something that so many of us are so curious to learn about and something that's so open for exploration and room for growth.
It not
Makes so
only
much.
that, how you're gonna be joining and connecting that to what is happening on Earth and how you can contribute to take care of our planet.
Yeah.
One of the things that I am doing in the classroom is let's go and join the inner space with the outer space. So if you don't remember when we started the conversation, I mentioned that I do robotics and submarine robotics, underwater robotics. So I have my kiddos now designing the underwater robots, and we are taking this robot into the community and okay, we're gonna do water quality. We're going to do sensors to get the quality of the water. We're going to design something in 3D print so we can collect water sample and see in that sample if we get phytoplankton, if we get zooplankton, how is the status of the water and how these can help the community. The fishermen, all the community in general is something that you as a teacher can do in the classroom to inspire the kids and get them conscious about taking care of our planet. And not only that, giving the teachers the tools that they need to get that in their classrooms. So my website is designed to give the teachers that help that they need. If you go to my website, which is www.amyastra.space, you have the website there and you can see all the lesson plans, at least the first set of 20 lesson plans in English and Spanish related to my flight. So they can create stuff and they can create it in a prototype using recyclable materials and also using CAD software. So they can start learning about these technical skills that they are going to be at some point using if they go into engineer or technology or any other career related to this. They have the seats. I flew seats to space. And those seats are available for teachers to do research in their classrooms and compare how the germination process, how the growing process is. So they can do the research and inspire the kids, but also look for techniques that may be helping the horticulturalists, the agricultural people to get stuff here on earth that can help them to grow faster food, especially for the countries that they have problems harvesting food because of the
Yeah.
drought. For example, is astronaut appearance something like the conversation that we're having today, that they can have the opportunity to talk directly to me through a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting. So you can put an astronaut that is a teacher, like the teacher that they have in the classroom, talking to them and put this part of the space that is an astronaut close to
Yeah.
them. Now with these civil astronauts, you're putting people, common people, ordinary people like you and me on a rocket to inspire and to do research, to do science, and getting into the minds of the little ones and say, hey, if I did it, and I'm a humble teacher, I grew up in a very low income household in a poor community, and look, I reach space, you can do it too. It's not impossible. And that is the message that we need to send to the kids. That if you are dreaming about something, you have a dream, you convert that dream into a goal and you work hard to make that goal a reality, and you will see that while you are doing your goal and you are achieving your goal, you are also fulfilling your dream. And I think that's a powerful message.
That is an incredibly powerful message. And what you mentioned, having role models is so important. It's something that really motivates a lot of people to work towards these goals and work towards achieving these dreams just because you see someone else who maybe came from a similar background as you or maybe went through similar things as you in life and you just see them being able to reach these goals and it just automatically opens these doors and it's like, oh, I can do this too. That's such a powerful thing that you mentioned. And another thing that you were talking about, I really want to touch back on when you said you learned three things from your space exploration. And the second thing you said is Earth really is alone in this big, vast universe, we really need to take care of our planet to make sure that we can keep this beautiful planet as it is and, also keep advancing our space exploration from Earth as well. So I think that's a really great thing to keep in mind is that while there is this huge universe and space and everything around us, we really are on this one planet and it's important
We are
to
all
keep it
together.
going.
You are all together on this. It doesn't matter if you're in Japan, in England, in Brazil, Puerto Rico, United States of Canada. We are all together in this. There's nowhere to go. We need to take care of our planet.
I feel like that's one of the biggest messages and one of the most important things that we all just need to keep in mind. That, we
Yes.
really all do have one goal, and it's to keep our big, beautiful planet as green as possible. So, if you had to give advice to future students who are still paving their path in STEM, what would you say to them?
Say, follow your heart. Sometimes we want to do something, but you know that it is not the best situation. Go to that pathway. It doesn't matter if you really want that and you really persist in your perseverance and you really want to do that. Life is going to open the path for you so you can achieve that thing that you want in a different way from what you realize for the first time. Look at me. I really love to be a teacher. I really want to be a teacher when I was a kid. I didn't have the opportunities or the resources or the mentors, and that didn't prevent me from being a teacher right now. Sometimes life is going to be taking you different ways, unexpected ways, but in the long run, if you persist in your perseverance, you're going to reach that goal and you're going to achieve your dream. I want to be the first Puerto Rican astronaut. And I remember when I saw Joe Bacaba going up, I was watching the launch in front of my TV in Puerto Rico, and I said to myself, "Oh my God, I would love to be the first, and I am not gonna be the first anymore because he's going up, but I'm so happy." And I remember the morning of my flight, I texted him and I told him, I remember when I saw your launch for the first time and I told myself, I want to be the first one. I wish I could be the first. And today I can say that because guess what? I'm the first female Puerto Rican, but I am also the first born and raised Puerto Rican. He is
Wow.
Puerto Rican, but he was born in Inglewood, in California. Mom and dad are Puerto Rican from Atito, Puerto Rico. So he's Puerto Rican by descendants because he's descendant from Puerto Ricans, but he was not born and raised in the island. And I remember that, and it was like, I can't believe that I am texting Joe about this on the day
Wow.
of my flight. You never know what the big boss has in the box for you. So never lose faith. Never lost that faith. You
That
have
is
to keep going.
that is such a big moment for you. So I just want to say congratulations again.
You have your goal. You achieve your goal. You're going to be fulfilling your dream
I
for
think
sure. Never give up.
sometimes it sounds cliche to say like never give up or you can achieve
But
anything,
reality
but it's true. Like I feel like what I always say is if something's cliche, it's cliche for a reason because it's so true that
is
everyone
so
relates
true.
to it. Yeah.
You can ask anybody, everybody that flew on that flight, and it's going to be like, I can't believe I did it.
Yeah. You really never know in which direction you're going to reach that goal because sometimes, you have a very clear cut path for yourself and you're like, oh, I didn't reach this one milestone. That means I'm never going to get to my goal. But that's really not the
No,
case at all. Yeah. Who knows, not reaching that one immediate milestone that you might see, you might even reach a bigger, better goal than what you had initially imagined. So that's
mm,
absolutely amazing. But my very final question, if you had to give your younger self a piece of advice from all the experiences that you've had so far, what would you say to her?
go for it. Go for it.
That's amazing. I know I've said this several times, but congratulations on your flight
Thank you.
and everything that you've done and everything that you're doing to inspire younger kids is truly changing so many lives. And you really never know how everything that you're educating these students with, how it's going to play a role in their future, but it really will leave a lasting mark on their education and the goals that they set for themselves.
Thank you so much for inviting me
Yes.
to share my experience with all your audience and the teachers. I know it's difficult sometimes, and nobody knows nobody knows how is being on the shoes of a teacher. I want you to tell you, keep going, don't give up, because in the long run, it's very satisfactory seeing your kids when they are adults and they are coming back to your classroom and they say thank you. It's worth it. Don't give up. If
That's
you need
beautiful.
help, we are here. You have
Thank
a
you.
strong community. We are here for you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and all these accomplishments and everything you've done. It really means a lot to be able to talk to someone who's done so many amazing things, will continue to do so many amazing things, I'm very sure. So thank you so much for taking the
Thank you.
time today to talk to us. Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye bye.
Once again, I'm your host, Emma Zareen, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the She Persists podcast.